Dear diarrhea, diarrhea full of shit. Just play along with myself and I. No one else. I'm so legit. Just watching some YouTube and whatnot. And ah shit. Hang on. I watched a video on how beer is made. Just because. Which, by the way, that baby video that I got on the bottom of this and the funny shit. Yeah, that's a beer. I thought maybe that was a coffee, like in a thick glass. I mean, generally, coffee glasses are, coffee. But so that's funny. It's a beer. But I'd like to start brewing my own beer, and make my own mustard and sausage and stuff. Just low level stuff. I can still have my fully functioning, wet bar with a sparkler, or wet bar as opposed to a dry bar. Powdered beer, just add water. But um, with the creamer tap and the sparkler tap and the fridge with the cream ales and stuff. But I'll have like locks on it, so combination locks, because hashtag fam life, our little Ollie, Katie Bug, Katie Boo. By the time he'll figure out how to pick locks, So just by like experimentation, he'll be like, okay, this thing kind of moves. There's some shit in there, and I'd be like, you know what I mean? So. Ba 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 ram ba ba ram. You used to be able to hear music like that on Cool 105. There's like music from the 50s and 60s. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. A little old lady from Pasadena, whatever. But anyway, and I'll have to have some sort of lock, like on the spout, So, because that could be bad, you know what I mean? Best case scenario, it's like, hey, that's a grown-up drink. That'll make you drunk. Fuck. Worst case scenario, they drink too much and die, or go play out in the sun and have a heat stroke or whatever. So anyway, yeah. Fuck, man. But I noticed Jägermeister. I have a list of alcohol, that I want to have, and drinks I want to try and whatnot. And like I said, Katie Bug. I'm assuming you drink, being such a party animal that you are. So we'll get drunk together. We'll have some nice, Baileys and cream. Maybe we'll make some mixed drinks. I want to try some mixed drinks. The going on the benders every now and then, that'll just be done forever. So, like I said, beer, 6-pack, in bottles or cans. Maybe I'll, for good measure, buy me a Budweiser. I like the old school cans, and then they switched them because, faggots. I don't know if they switched back, but the old can, had like writing and shit all over it. I liked it, but I don't know, something about, it's totally just whatever, but buy me some different glasses and whatnot, just be what's the word? Not aficionado, but I like a good beer. I like Modelo, I like lager, every now and then, you go for a good Guinness or a cream ale or something, or whatever, Irish ale, whatever. German beers. Like I said, we're going to take a trip to Germany during like the beer fest and whatnot. We'll go to France, see Normandy, eat some snails, see that big tower, whatever that's all about. Why was it built? When was it built? What's its purpose? That's pretty much it. some history behind it, Oh, this people, that people, will read the stuff all around, read the shit in the pamphlet and call it a day. Go to Rome. That's in Italy. I want to see the Colosseum. I'm a really nostalgic guy, so I'll probably just. Same thing with Normandy. I'll probably just, take me a little, you know. Actually, I probably won't take nothing. I'm overthinking things. My mind is on the what have you. Plus you can't drink in public, but then we'll be in a foreign land, so you really want to mind your P's and Q's. If you're not sure, don't do it. So, yeah, open container in public. I don't think you can do that. That's not even legal here. I don't think. But like I said, foreign land. They might throw you in jail for 5 days or whatever, and kind of fucks up the vacation. But anyway, I'll just sit there, and just same thing with the Coliseum, just damn dog. I mean, I'll read all the shit. I'll take the tour, but I will. I'll probably just, because I'm different. Everybody's nostalgic, but not like me. You remember your trip to Disneyland? I remember my trip to Disneyland too. You know what my favorite part was? Go-kart racing. Going around a corner too fast because it was kind of wet, and I did a 360 degree and kept going straight. Didn't crash. But, camping trips and whatnot, live in Colorado. Katie Bug. You like pine trees, the sound of crows and woodpeckers, the sound of the wind in the trees and the smell, sound of a babbling brook, all that shit. We'll go camping. Girl. We'll do the urban camping thing, up there at Chicago. But anyway, what, oh, so the favorite part, my memories are finding this really cool stick, that felt right in my hands, I would like silently play soldier, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't really like be running from tree to tree, but I'd like in my mind I'd just be walking and like run over here, and even as a kid, you know what I mean? I knew that the movies, they always show, they have an endless supply, and I was never in the military, but I guess they store all them clips like on their belly or whatever. They just got clip after clip after clip. But anyway, even back then, I was smarter than your average, human being. So in my mind, I'm just walking along and just run over there, fire off a burst, and then whatever, and whatever, and I picture these, it is what it is. But so that's like how I used to play, I would play like in silence, like with my GI Joe guys. They had these action figures, man. I hope maybe they're still somewhere, but you could, I would like have them fighting and stuff. But it wasn't just like goosh 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 goosh. And I'd just be banging them together. I'd have like the guy like grab this guy's neck and take a knee and swoop up under his leg, like a wrestling move, and just and all this shit. Just sort of silently, like some sort of psycho serial killer, to grow up to be someday, Wasn't like goosh goosh, and with the cars, Actually, with the cars, I would do like the engine sounds and whatnot. But same thing with the little planes and stuff. I would do like these mock dog battles, Wasn't just in my room, like, I'd have the one, and he'd bank up over, and he'd be inverted, Maverick, And that movie came out, roughly when I was a kid, So I was kind of stealing some shit from that. But I do like the acrobatics, I had a little red bi-wing plane, and I just remember, I know this probably sounds kind of weird, but I doubt other kids did that. They were just like playing, but I'm just like silently, almost like playing it out, just it'd go up, I'm not making this up, like okay, slow down. I was unaware of like aerodynamic forces, like a aerodynamic stall and shit, but I would realize, okay, I'm just it's it's different. It's just it's hard to explain, but yeah, that's yeah. But um, but what in the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the beer and all that. That's another thing you want to. I've seen this before. I've seen this probably. Now some of them might be legit, but I'm gonna assume out of like the 8 times that I've seen this, probably at least half of them are bullshit. Half of them are coming from Ben and Brian. You know, just doing what Ben and Brian do with a fucking dick in their mouth. You know, this is how they go through life. You know, what's the big deal about making shit up? You know, well, you know, it's kind of the beginning and the end of everything. But you know, hey, you got 107 fucking IQ, and you can program your own fucking computer, change the color and the font on the screen. You fucking destroyer of everything good, holy, and noble and decent. Just like that new folder I opened up for the fucking crate. Those pieces of shit. That's great. You tapped in, you know, you hacked, you know, Mrs. Jones' home security system. Wow, you know. You cranked out some fake fucking story, you know. You made a UFO sighting and posted it, you know, just all, you know, whatever. You know, while you're at it, you know, just nothing wrong with that, you piece of shit. Nothing wrong with that, you fucking cancer. Nothing at all. No harm, no foul. You ain't hurting nobody. New game, you know, new players, Jack. You piece of fucking shit. But anyway, but yeah, that's another thing. My granddad, you know, he was part of the Tuskegee Airmen, and he this, that, and the other, and it's really cool to just stumble across this. You know, that was one. Uh, Again with the what have you, the liquor, the Jägermeister. Oh yeah, my grandma worked for him, and that guy gave me my first job, and you know, I used to stroll through the daisy fields and pick rabbits and whatever. But you know, it just seems kind of like fucking like it's coming from either Ben and or Brian. The dude, you know, old Johnny Boy or whatever, you know, not Ben and Brian, but you know, just Johnny Boy, you know, who's in his 60s now, talking about, you know, riding around with his granddad in his back in the 60s, going to the, you know, store and buying a Mountain Dew. That seems legit, you know, but, you know, you just sort of develop a sense for spotting Ben and Brian. Um, you know, like I said in that early audio presentation, you know, only 3% of people know about this. Ben and Brian, all day, baby. I bet $1,000 right now. Boom, on the table. Ben and or Brian. So anyway, I guess that's all I got to say. I just there's a lot of low life, bottom feeding pieces of fucking shit in this world. You know, technology, baby. Everything has a flip side. Modern magic era, modern people. Is it bullshit? You got to be able to, you know, develop that skill. Because there's a lot of bullshit out there. Bullshit people who push bullshit, you know, agendas. That just everything, you know, everything. It's hard to even put into words because sometimes people do shit, you know, like really for no rhyme or reason, you know. So Ben and Brian are kind of like those people, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, I'm trying to think of an example of the mindset of Ben and or Brian. Obviously, there's the pulling the wings off the butterfly and putting it in the anthill. And then blaming the butterfly, you know, somehow finding a way. Like, why don't you just walk away? Walk out of the anthill. You know, and just, um, fuck, I'm trying to think of a good example. Well, obviously, you know, if there's like, this is kind of a maybe not the best example, but just destroy something at random for no reason. You know what I mean? You're walking along, there's a flower. And, Ben and or Brian will step on it. Nobody else will step on it unless they're in like a bad mood or hate flowers or something. But Ben and or Brian will destroy it just sort of like on a whim. Oh, there's contrast. There's a red flower against green grass. I think I'll step on it. Or something like that. Or maybe they'll pick a dandelion, which is technically a weed, and I don't know, go to the bathroom and rub it on their asshole. You know, uh, Ben and Brian. Um, they're the type of people who would buy a candy bar, stick it up their asshole, go to the bathroom, stick it up their asshole, bring it back and put it back on the shelf. What else would Ben and Brian do? They're the type of person who would spit in a public drinking fountain. They're just generally depraved individuals. Now, this is all but then they get behind a computer, and it's like, I guess making a fake, UFO sighting isn't as bad as shoving a candy bar up your ass and then putting it back. But, I guess that's all I gotta say, baby. Hey. So, anyway, sweet Katie Bug, good night. Who's the pretty girl with the pretty, pretty face? I like to just look at your pictures of like you with not a lot of makeup on. Who's that nurse kneeling over my bed? Well, hello, pretty girl.